Right. Okay, so welcome back to our series on katas. Today we'll be doing jitte. Obviously, if your instructor doesn't want it done this way, then not a problem at all. Make sure you pay respect to them and do whatever they want, whichever way they want you to do it. So this isn't set in stone, so do what they request you to do for jitte. Yeah, today we've got Sensei Kerry and we've got Cash to help us out. Thank you. Jitte. Fire! So the first portion, right, we're talking about is basically 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the karate technique. Afterwards I'll be doing a jiu-jitsu variation of that. So yeah, you'll have 2 variations to work on. So, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again. We move off center. Yeah, push Kakae. We move off center and cover and take. Then I'm moving in and try and get this knees to work. You can see what's happening to Cash. So as I'm going through, he's stepping back and then the maigeri comes in. You have to stop it. So obviously the arm is slightly bent, so it's like a shock absorber. Yeah, it's not good rigid, else it's going to carry on up here. So have slight bend in it. So maigeri again and back. So I'm going to go from there. The punch comes in, Jodan, cover, over and in. 1 through and up. Once more. So with the side, cover, I'm moving forward, cover, take, maigeri comes in. From there I'm going forward, block, down, over and in. Rush. Ready? 1, 2, 3. So now we'll give you a different variation using some jiu-jitsu moves. I go to the left, take in Kerry's balance. Use the chest to take. Then I'm going to go forward my weight. Same as you do in Seisha. Forward, step through, engage, then hip twist. And cover. They grab, you close off, elbow, down, forward, and take. Push. Once more. Take them off balance, chest, go forward, take. They grab, take, down and up. So when they grab here, try and close them off. Then instead of trying to go round with your hand, yeah, drop the elbow. If I start lifting the hand, they're going to resist. If I drop the elbow and lift, then over, and I'm using shito to go into the joint, then straight up. So as soon as you see an opening for the jawbone, go for it. Don't keep on going right the way down with the lock. So here, close it both off, use your elbow, down, and as soon as you've got past here to see, then the jaw. So the next portion is, we'll be starting off here. So whether you're doing a karate move or whether you're doing a jiu-jitsu practice, doesn't matter. Here, step through straight, taisho. Through. You can't come through, I'll explain when we're doing it with the partner. You have to come round slightly because of his shoulder and his arm's in the way. And then I can go straight. So it's only the second one where you put a little bit of a curvature in it. Nobody will really notice. But when you're actually practicing, it's obvious that you have to do it. And all the time, you're using this hand to keep your distance to change. You're keeping your distance, not coming into him, but keeping the distance. Then strike. So if you take it from here, whoosh, so down. This one's straight because I've got access here. This one I've got to come round. I can't come through because he's got his arm here. So I'm keeping the distance with this arm, taking him back, keeping him into the range. I'll come through and round. Same here, through. This time I can come straight. So basically, stance. Yeah, here I can come through straight. This side I can't really come straight because he's got his arms in there, so he has to come round slightly. Yeah, and then the last one straight because he's open again. But all the time, yeah, I am, can you see I'm keeping the distance using this hand here? Then through, and the same here. I.e. you're not trying to, one, yeah, you're too close. So you're controlling the distance with this hand. So you're not only striking with it, but you're keeping your distance. Okay? Wish. So the next portion that we're going to look at is from the last taisho. Up, down, push. So, up, down, push away. Again. Ready? Up, down, push away. So, when we was going through this is fine. But really, it makes you beg the question, why are you actually doing this side? Why not just do the one hand? Yeah? Everything changes when you actually look the other way. Now, you're actually doing an attack. So if we're just doing one technique, just by changing the head, you can change it from a defensive move to an attacking move just by doing one combination. This way, look, cover, and through. Yeah. This way, look, up, down, attack. So we'll go through those. So last technique was here. So up, down, push. Again. Up, down, push. Push. So if you go to the other side, I'm now going to start going again. Up, down, and push. Yeah. Up, down, push. Push. So basically just turning your head, you can use both sides. Yeah, one sort of as a defensive, the other one more of an attacking move. Just by doing that one combination. Push. Push. So the next combination we're going to look at, with a lot of the some of the katas that you do in the sort of for your senior grading, they're more of akin to weapons. So I don't know whether they actually started with weapons or. So especially when you come to do this, 1, 2, 3, the hands. Yeah. So we'll go through these and then I'll try and explain where we can bring it back into your karate, your Wado. So, thank you. So fighting stance. So basically here, then a hit, here and hit. Wish. Thank you. Right. So what can we learn from this? If we're going to put it into any sort of weapons or your Wado, your karate. To get any power into this side for the attack, you have to use your hip. You have to use your hip. Your hip. So, how does that relate to your karate? It's basically hikite. So when you do your junzuki, you are using the pullback. You're using the pullback. I can't remember whether it's Otsuka the first or the second in their book. I'm pretty sure it's Otsuka the first that said when you're doing your zukis, then it should be 70% hikite and 30% with your zuki. So here, yeah, through and hikite, through and hikite. So try and use your, when you're doing the kata, even for this one. Here, same here, through and hip, through and hip. Not just changing your arms over. And what you've learned from this, take it back. To pull, hikite, hip. Wish. Next portion of the kata. So we've come up, it is a kakayuke and pull down and strike. And strike and strike. Last two are just repetitions, but you're doing it on the left hand side. So we'll look in detail on this one. So first of all, yeah, your kakayuke is haito, then kakayuke pulling down. And if you can see, I'm trying to get this palm onto the forearm. Then it's just basically it's turning. Still got my thumb on top because then we go forward. One, kakayuke. Try and get my palm down. You would start making this a shorter and shorter version, but then round to the elbow, keeping your thumb up, and then not pushing over there, but taking it straight down. The other one is basically as soon as you see the gakuzuki coming in or the junzuki coming, yeah, then straight forward. Yeah, straight. Here. Okay, watch. So this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then as you go forward, I would not do this. Okay, so try and get your body come in to your hands, and then swap over, and then take again. Yeah, so without sensei keri, 1, 2, 3, strike. Not this, step and then strike, but take your chest forward, swap. Take your chest forward and strike. So take your time in learning Kakae and through. And when this punch starts coming, straight out. You've got to really watch the shoulder, the arm to see, and then come to meet you, but straight out. Then change as you're going forward. Not open up, step and strike. But yeah, make sure your body is going forward at them. Not pulling back as a pose and striking. Okay, so we've done our last strike. From there, kicks coming in and move. This one's doing the uke, this one's gamai, cover. So from this side, kicks come in here, move, close to the body, not hit, cover, and gamai, cover. Then we're going to swap, strike, and still get your gamai, cover. So here, a bit further over, so you get a good kick. So really push in. Watch. 1, cover. Then change. Strike. Try not to, in your kata, and then do it. Try and do the strike as you're going out. Yeah, so you're not, but almost in kibadachi. Coming out. Once more. Yeah. 1, cover. Strike. And yeah, man. So, last few moves. It's basically 4 Jodan-ukis. It seems a little bit strange to do what is commonly thought as a defensive move. But Jodan-ukis have changed many times over the years. I think I could do at least a half an hour session with various types of Jodan-ukis that I've been taught throughout the years. So it's a little bit similar to Pinan Shodan when you do Gidan Barai Jodan-uki, Gidan Barai Jodan-uki. It doesn't seem quite right to sort of finish on an uki. Don't know. So what we'll do is we will use the Jodan-ukis as an uchi, as a strike. So from here, Jodan-uki, 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 Jodan-uki. So what we'll be doing is Jodan-uki, but strike and kazushi. Jodan-uki, take and strike. So you're using the action of a Jodan-uki as a striking movement as well as your Jodan-uki. So, right. So, Jodan-uki. You've got to watch this hand, so we need to come in and hit or take. So from here, Jodan-ryū. We've got to watch this hand, so we need to cover and take. So Jodan-ryū, watch this hand coming through and kazushi. The Jodan-ryū for the gaku, I'm coming round and through. But at the same time, I want to be striking, I want to be covering myself for this one. So through and into your Jodan-ryū. So once more, yeah, cover and through, and cover and through. So we've been asked quite a few times about this hand position. Basically, it stems from this. Okay, obviously some sort of gung fu greeting. Yeah, that was explained to me. This is the moon, this is the sun, this is the good emperor, this is the bad emperor. So, but when things went from Okinawa to Japan, generally things were made into Japanese rather than reflecting on China. So here, and you start quite a few katas with this position. This regional course into this regional course here. So, bad emperor, good emperor. This kata and Shinto, you'll find that you are facing the wrong way. But that's the way the kata is formed, and we're not going to change anything like that. The issue is when people stand up, they tend to do a fantastic kata and then they stumble, they lose their balance. So it's only a very, very minor point, but if you're trying to perfect your kata, then if we can suggest something that's going to help, then that's got to be a good point. So it's basically people start moving the head around or their body around, which obviously then creates a bit of a gyration around your center. So therefore you're going to lose your balance. Your balance organ is in your ear. So when you're going to stand up, then try and come up straight. Not let your head rotate. Even here I've got feet in the wrong position. So if you lift and keep your back straight and your head's going to go straight up, it should be perfect. Most times.
As usual, we'll have a look at the history of the kata, have a little look at its name, which is sort of quite complicated. And then, like we did with Jion, we'll recover some key points that we've covered in the rest of the series. I don't think there's anything particular in this kata that is new, so it's a good time to do a recap and then reinforce some of the stuff we've covered previously. Jitte. Lots and lots of conflicting information. Matsumura is credited with it, Itosu is credited with it. So I don't think anybody really knows, but it's fairly safe to say it came from China originally. There's not even a consensus on whereabouts in Okinawa it was widely practiced. Some say it's shurite, some say it's tamarite. So it's definitely got lost in the midst of time. The name Jitte itself has got multiple interpretations. One of them is if you look at the shape of the kata from above, it forms a cross. Mostly it's forwards and backwards, but you get the two cross beams of the cross. And a cross is also the Japanese kanji for 10. So whether it was named after the kanji, who knows? But Ji is also another pronunciation of Ju, which also means 10. So whether people have sort of conflated the cross being the symbol of 10 with G, which is the number 10, again, who knows. It also turns out that a jitte is a weapon, and we'll try and put a picture of a jitte in the screen. But a jitte is essentially like a classic sai, where you have a long handle and blade, if you like. The sai has got 2 hooks, whereas the jitte has only got 1. And the jitte became the official weapon of what was like a proto-police force in the Edo period, which is 1603 to something like 1860. And the proto-police officers used to use the jitte as their defence weapon. It also became like a modern police officer has a warrant or a badge to prove he's an official. The jitte became the official symbol of the government police officers. So it became quite a significant thing. And there are schools of jitte jutsu where they practice nothing but defensive and attacking techniques with the jitte. So it's possible the kata was named after that. And as Sensei covered in his section with the bow staff, if you look online, you'll find people doing both attacking techniques with weapons using Jitte Kata, and they're also doing defensive techniques against weapons with Jitte Kata. As we mentioned in the Jion video, in some sources they're saying that Jiin and Jitte were originally weapons katas. Jion was created by Anko Itosu by taking elements from Jiin and Jitte and making Jion as a karate kata rather than purely weapons. But that's all lost to time, so nobody really knows. It gets classed as one of the 3 temple katas, and this is where it gets really murky, because depending on the search engine to use and the translation engine, it can mean temple, but it can also mean 10. The Ji in Jiin can mean temple. The Ji in Jion can also mean temple. But in other translations, the kanji is written differently. So the Ji can mean compassion and kindness. And as we mentioned in the Jion video, Gichin Funakoshi and Kenwa Mabuni in the 20s, they wrote the kata names in katakana. Katakana is the Japanese language system that explains foreign words to Japanese speakers, but only how to pronounce it. It gives them the phonetic pronunciation of the word. It doesn't actually explain what it is. But in Funakoshi's and Mabuni's writings in the 1930s, they then started writing it in classic kanji. And I think this is where the confusion in the naming has come about, because depending on how it was explained to you, if it was explained to you that it's part of 3 temple katas, then the Ji is going to mean temple. But if it's explained to you that the Ji means 10, then one of the other names for Jitte is 10 hands. Ji, 10, Te, hands. So it's all very confusing. I think people have conflated ideas and got themselves in a bit of a muddle. But I think from the research, it's pretty tenuous. These are a series of katas from a temple. I think the interpretation of the word Ji has got sort of mixed up in that. And it's also pretty much fairly certain that it's more likely to have been named after the Jitte weapon. In the Shogun's palace in the Edo period, all weapons were banned, punishable by death. But the guards still needed a form of weapon to protect against anybody who was invading the castle. So they used a jitte. And the jitte has got a blunt end, so it can't be used as a stabbing weapon. And it's a round bar, so it hasn't got a cutting edge. So the best you can do is use it like a truncheon, like a club. But you use a chair leg or a vase or anything you like as a club. So it was a weapon that can be used against blades and people with swords, daggers, but it's not itself an offensive weapon that you could attack the shogun with. So quite an interesting history, but a little bit convoluted and you can't really put your finger on it. I think it's you pays your money, you takes your choice. So on the review of the key points we've covered previously, one of the key points we covered before was ibuki, breathing. Whether you're a Goju-Ryu practitioner and you do their extremely complex breathing, their circular breathing, or whether you're a general martial artist, if you run out of breath, especially during long katas like Koshanku, you've got no energy, you're gassed out, you can't perform. So getting your breathing synchronized with your movements is a vital part of your training. We mentioned previously about Seishan. So because it's done at slow speed, you can practice breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. So you can synchronize at slow speed your breathing with movement. If you try to do this at full speed, it gets difficult. You also need to synchronize your movements with sections of kata. So if you've got a section of kata that's got 4, 5, maybe 6 techniques, you've got to try and work your breathing into those 4, 5, 6 techniques. So it's something you really do need to pay attention to, but it is essential. Outside of karate training, just in general life, I've been messing around with this 4-7-8 breathing system. Breathe in through the nose for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7, breathe out through the mouth for 8. And if you want to lower your stress levels and blood pressure and things like that, you know, if you're in a tense situation, the 4-7-8 breathing system works really well. So in your general life or in your karate training, ibuki, your breathing system, is essential. So the second revision point is shingi tai, 3 words. Shin is spirit or focus or kime. Gi in this application refers to technique, and tai is the body. To be a technique to be truly successful, they need all 3 elements. You can have beautiful technique and your body can be strong and well conditioned, but if you've got no fighting spirit, it's not going to work. You know, street brawlers, they probably don't have great technique and they may be blind drunk. But if they're determined to punch your face in and they've got good spirit, if you don't match that spirit, you're in trouble. So again, this is part of your kata practice, is your kata, you're trying to make the gi, your technique, as clean and as perfect as possible. The tai, the body, your breathing, your physical condition, the stamina and strength to get through to the end of the kata. But you also need to introduce the shin, and that's the hard part, is you're practicing on your own, punching thin air, so there's no real threat to respond to. So being able to develop the mindset, the kime, the focus and the intent during your kata is a big part. And you'll see sensei, I remember, you know, back in the day, if he was going to perform a kata in front of the group, he'd circle the room. He'd be like a lion in a cage, you know, and he'd come to and the focus would come out. So he was preparing himself mentally as if he was going into a real battle, a real confrontation, when in fact there was no one there. So shin, gi, tai are essential in your training, and developing this shin, this focus, this intent on demand. You're peacefully minding your own business, and the next thing you know, you're fighting for your life. You need to be able to sort of switch that on instantly. So that is an essential part of your kata training. And the third revision key point is this idea of pretty versus practical. As you mentioned in Shingi Tai, the gi is technique. So when you practice your katas, you're trying to make your techniques as clean and as perfect as possible. Your stances are correct, your arm positions are correct, your posture's correct. But that doesn't necessarily translate into a real confrontation. Sometimes the techniques can become a little bit scruffy, but they'll still be effective. So what we'll do now is we'll have a look at sections from various katas and show you the pretty version, the correct kata version, versus possibly a practical application. So if I've got a cash. So people tend to grab you because they want to control you and then punch. So from Jitte Kata, we get this section. So we'll have a look at that as a practical application. It's not as pretty as the kata, it's not as correct as the kata, but it does work. So he grabs me to try and control me and throw a punch. So this is one half of the technique. The second half of the technique is this. So we attack the back of his elbow. So as the grab is coming in, we need to get this arm up quick to deflect the punch. And then we can remove him with this arm. So this is the pretty in the kata, this is the practical. But it's a useful technique if somebody's trying to grab you and control you. Rocky Marciano, the famous heavyweight boxer, he was infamous for a punch that he called the Suzy Q punch. Suzy Q was a dance around the 30s and 40s. And you know, it was named after that. Currently there's a full contact fighting system, or fighting series, and Kikuno Sensei, who's a traditional Okinawan martial artist. He's currently taking everybody out in that. And to show how traditional he is, before every fight, he does Naihanchi to show you where his techniques are coming from. So one of the techniques that he does is, if somebody's punching Jodan, is to drop to the side and punch. And the amount of people he's knocked out with this, well, it doesn't take much to realise it's basically from Naihanchi. Nanamizuki, we've just changed that position slightly and changed the angle of the punch. So a highly effective technique. No, we haven't got the beautiful posture. We're taking our head off the line and the punch is going forwards rather than, but everything else is pretty much the same. Marciano, his Suzy Q punch was also very similar. So as the punch came in, he would drop back and then forwards for his punch. Well, this position here doesn't take much to become Naihanchi. So when you see the techniques in the kata, that's your 100%. To make it work, to make it practical, you might need to alter it. If it's 75, 80% of the original, you're probably still going to be okay with it. But unfortunately, in the street, people don't tend to attack you like this. They tend to be like milling, as it's referred to, flailing arms around. So you need to get behind covers and throw punches from awkward angles. So this is the pretty versus practical. Jitte is possibly the last kata that we're going to be covering. There's potentially some more to come in the future, but not 100%. So if this is potentially the last one, it's time to discuss the genius of kata. A lot of people don't see the point or the sense in kata. And having done this series now, I think this is the 15th one, it's absolutely essential. It's utterly brilliant. When people created katas, I don't know if they fully appreciated what they were doing. But you don't know how old some of these katas are. They could be hundreds of years or 500, 1,000 years old. But they've still transmitted information over time. So when you don't have written word or you don't have video like we do, you pass information on one generation, one student to the next via kata. So some of these techniques could be 1,000 years old, but they're still passed on. And Sensei always says, like, the kata is the answer. You have to work out what the question is. Don't change the kata. If you start changing the kata, you're potentially losing information from 1,000 years ago. So as a method of transmitting information over time, it's absolutely incredible. It's just a fantastic thing. The pretty versus practical. You know, if you scrap, fight, you know, it's difficult to get your kata into sparring because you've got another highly skilled martial artist who's trying to outfox you like a game of chess. But if you scrap, if you get your opponent to be like a street brawler, which is a lot of these techniques were designed for, then it suddenly becomes very realistic. You know, people throwing great big haymakers, like people tend to do in the street, then you can apply kata techniques. Much more difficult when you've got somebody who's skilled moving around to do them. But against brawlers, it becomes practical. So you've got the transmission of knowledge and you've got practical self-defense techniques. It's a fantastic method of solo drill. You can, as long as you've got some sort of space, you can practice these on your own. You can work on your techniques, improve, get better. So you don't need to be in a dojo. If you've got a garden, if you've got a little bit of room in the house, you can practice solo drill. Especially if now with modern techniques, so you can video yourself, you can see all the terrible mistakes and all the scruffy bits, so you can work on making them better. So it's a fantastic solo drill. It was Choki Motobu who said that karate begins and ends with Nai Hanshi. I think that you can say that of most katas if you look at it in the whole. So if you start your karate journey, your first lesson, and somebody gets you to stand in kibadachi for 3 years, you're going to develop leg strength. Punching techniques using the hips, you're going to develop core strength. So your body will eventually condition to be able to perform the techniques and become stronger. Doing long katas like Koshanku will improve your cardiovascular. So you go from a beginner, developing strength, developing cardiovascular, refining technique over time, then you get into your old age. Hopefully, when I'm 90, if I make it that far, I'd still like to be training. So my katas then will be like a form of Tai Chi. It'll be a form of mobility and exercise, but I don't need to put 100% power, 100% technique into it, force into it. You can do it slowly, but still exercise the body. So kata starts with kata, ends with kata. It can be your whole training life, from your very first lessons maybe as a child up to your old age when you're still practicing and still doing your kata for health and exercise. So kata is absolute genius.
Okay, Ush. Okay, short conclusion for Jitte. Some of the katas that you perform for your senior grades, I've seen so many variations, and I'm sure people will be looking at this thinking, well, you don't quite do that, we do it this way, which is fine. It's not a problem. And also, it's been great to do these katas, not just only this one, but all the other ones, because when you go in front of a camera, you have to make sure you've researched it historically, but also when you're actually performing the moves. I've had to look at my katas in a deeper way because of doing examples of each and every move. What we've tried to do is keep to the kata and not diverted from it. So sometimes you think, oh yeah, I've got that move, yes, I've got this one, yeah, and then all of a sudden you'll come to a stumbling block and you think, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? And that's what you should be thinking. Not just accepting the moves, but looking at them, challenging them, and coming up with a resolution. Might not be the one, but you know what? It's a stepping stone. Yeah, when you go on courses, listen to the instructors that's teaching. They most probably got a different view on that particular move. So don't go blank. You think you know everything. Just keep on training, keep on doing your katas, keep on researching. Yeah. I'm lucky. I'm retired now, so I can spend a lot of time looking at katas. I'm only smiling because I keep on rubbing the salt in on some of the students saying I'm retired now and I've got plenty of time to do things. So yeah, go through your katas, These are just suggestions. I've already had people sending us videos saying, what do you think of this move? What do you think of that move? And that's brilliant, because that's what we're trying to generate. You know, people looking at their katas and coming up with variations, but not changing the kata. Yeah, one kata, 1,000 fights. Thank you. Osh.